Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and video game news. Today is Friday, March 25th. Let's hop in. So, a lot of stuff didn't happen yesterday and did happen yesterday. I didn't get into actually playing Mirror's Edge Catalyst and instead did play a little bit of Pokemon Snap. I really have the new Pokemon Snap game on the Switch, which again I can't show any footage of me playing Nintendo games, but I can talk about them. Um, and I really have to say that I think the new Pokemon Snap game is just like in several subtle ways way improved compared to the original Pokemon Snap game. That being said, if Nintendo came out with a way to play the original game, I would probably play that too. Um, there is a point, though, I will say, that it feels like I may have hit a bit of a difficulty spike as far as just unlocking the next thing. Because I've unlocked two areas, and in the two areas, there are no less than three locations, as it were. It's really more akin to saying I've unlocked two levels, and in each level there is a day, a night, and a special time frame. And on top of the day, the night, and the special time frame, there is at least four different variations in that same level. So you may travel down the same track, but at some points you will also find ways in which you can go different directions on the track to slightly change the angle in which you're taking pictures. But the fact that you're on the same rails changes fairly drastically depending on what research level you're at and whether it's day or night, because there's like several different scripted scenarios in which the Pokemon will move and act. Let's speed this up here, since we're very possibly going to have to end up watching another one of these, since I'm just barely logging in on time before it rolls over at noon. So yeah, the tracks and the Pokemon in those areas seem to be a little bit more consistent and more logical, whereas my vague memory of the original Pokemon Snap would have been you might have been in the same area on the same track and you may have seen completely different Pokemon at different day and night times. It also feels like as your research level goes up, some of the Pokemon will definitely change their behavior, but some will straight up, I think, just evolve or be replaced with evolved versions of the similar Pokemon. But yeah, it doesn't seem like the new Pokemon game is going to, new Pokemon Snap is going to have Pester Balls, instead choosing to have Illumina orbs that make characters like glow with energy. So if you want to pester somebody with it, you just throw an apple at them, and I don't know if we're going to see the apple ever upgrade and become better, or the camera going to become better. It seems like if you can get over 5,000 points taking a picture of a Pokemon, that's probably around the maximum as far as what you could score. I wouldn't even be surprised if there is just straight up a hard limit at 5,000 points. But I'm getting like platinum scores for getting somewhere around 4,500 points. But it definitely feels like there needs to be at least 3 or 4 other locations that unlock and some upgrades to the abilities. And just the story kind of needs to continue, because there is this kind of unique story that's being hinted at as you unlock new things, but the actual gameplay might be 8 or 9 runs. It feels like it's been since I've actually moved the story forward. I got the 8-bit controller adapter, so now I can use the Xbox One or Xbox Series controller, whatever I have. It was a hassle getting that to actually work because I had turned off the Pro Wireless controlling option in the settings of the Switch. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Also, I think the adapter does not shut off the controller, so my controller may be sitting over here draining its batteries that I just put in it. But it is definitely way better to use an Xbox One controller compared to the tiny squish buttons that exist on the Joy-Cons. Those controllers are obviously just not designed for adult hands. And anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and just start here. Go ahead and start here, and I grinded out a lot after Wednesday's stream, so we're up to 3,800 of 20,000. So we're about 5% of the way there, and we can, I think, pull that off as long as I'm just fairly consistent playing this festival. But the subtle things that I was trying to mention as far as new Pokemon Snap is the fact that you have a map that's hidden kind of in the lab that shows you exactly where you've seen all of the Pokemon, and so it's basically geolocating the Pokemon in a sort of way, not specifically or highly accurately to where you took a picture of a Pokemon or where you would have been in standing when you took the picture, which that's what real geolocation would have done. Instead, it's more of a, they've specifically placed little bubbles and little anchors like a Google Maps of the Pokemon, and whenever you see them or get a picture in that general area, in that general region, it marks it off. So if you're looking specifically to get a picture of, say, Pichu, you can look at a map and go, I saw Pichu here, here, and here, so I need to know where to schedule and where to plan out the next run, which is actually incredibly important because they also have this text messaging, in-game text messaging challenge system where they are specifically saying, hey, I saw this Pokemon sleeping, can you get a picture of him when he wakes up, or something like that. So you're looking for specific behaviors or specific types of shots as challenges, which gives you even more guidance to say, now I'm not going on a run just taking wild pictures trying to get the best score. I'm also focusing on specific challenges that will help me learn to be a better player in the long run. Let's see if this works. On top of the map system, there's a fairly nice photo editing system with frames and stickers. A lot of stuff you would have expected to see from a combination of like the Game Boy printer and photo apps on the cell phone, and like little extras like that. It has auto uploading, so apparently it's auto uploading photos I'm taking somewhere, but I have no idea where even. But it's a Pokemon, so what do I care? So there's this kind of internet connected aspect to it also. The one thing that feels fairly weird is that the main screen just does not have anything at the moment in the middle of the main screen, where it'd make more sense if there was something you could do on the main screen. And oddly, there's just like no way to even exit the game or save the file, so it feels like it was definitely more of an experiment on a more cell phone style of game where it doesn't really need a start screen, it doesn't really need an exit button, it doesn't really need a save button because it's just all programmed to operate however, even though you still get the warnings of if you close the software, the game will, unsaved data will be lost, just as a generic warning. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying new Pokemon Snap. I'm hoping it lasts a little bit longer than Link's Awakening and also doesn't get a little bit frustrating. I don't know if I really will play any over the weekend though. I really should focus on Mirror's Edge Catalyst. But yeah, that's the game I was playing. The other thing I did was a incredibly complicated, and I'll try and explain it quickly because I doubt very many people care, is I wanted to see how hard it was to do. Like, to misquote an old saying, we didn't climb the mountain because it was easy, we climbed it because it was hard. I decided to see how hard it would be to set up my DD-WRT custom firmware router to have a guest mode Wi-Fi that would block adult content and be for kids in particular. And at the end of the day, I'm almost 100% certain I got everything I wanted to get done working, but it was quite a hassle. So it blocks adult content using a special DNS server that filters out adult content in the first place. So much so that if you go to like Google and type in porn, it says no search results for porn, which that is frankly almost blasphemy to the internet, a place full of porn, to be able to create a filter that says just the word porn, doesn't even bring up Wikipedia articles or anything like that. Like it is super censored. So like even a 13 or 14 year old, like, and they would probably deserve to see a Wikipedia article explaining what pornography is. But like, yeah. So DNS filter or forced redirection to a different DNS server using a virtual access point, Wi-Fi access point that then also had to be in its own secondary network, subnetwork. Not really even a subnetwork. I straight up had to put it in a different network completely, and by setting it up on a different network, then I needed to set up a different instance of a quick and dirty DHCPD server, which is the DHCP server that gives out the IP addresses to the clients. So yeah, a lot of settings, a lot of experimenting to get just to that point. And once I could get it to work and get the DNS working, then I started to set up things like the access restrictions, which is just a thing that's built into DDWRT, setting that up so it specifically only interacted with the people in the other network, and then through the access restrictions I was able to put in a general filter to block keywords like Minecraft, which is my example keyword there. It does say in access restrictions you could block things by URL, but it's not really true anymore. Everything that uses HTTPS and is encrypted through HTTPS can't be blocked through that soft setup. So it really is a setting that either needs a major caveat or needs to kind of disappear. But you can do deep packet inspections to block some of YouTube, but not YouTube apps. So to block things like YouTube apps, you would actually need a... I don't want to do either one of these, but I guess I don't have a choice. You would use an IP tables filter actually to block the IP addresses of YouTube, and that stops the apps from working. So I cannot attack this or I'll just lose. Interesting. So yeah, I added to the default firewall a special IP tables command to block YouTube's IP addresses, which makes a very long one line of code, and specifically it is told to only block on that specific IP address range of the virtual access point. The whole point of doing it this way is to have your regular internet for regular people, regular adults, not be affected. And for the most part that seems to be the case, although it does seem like there might be just barely enough CPU or RAM to have two DHCP servers running at the same time, or it's creating some kind of race condition conflicts or something. I don't know. I'll have to let it run. I really should have backed up all the settings before I even started working on it. So yeah, through the firewall I blocked YouTube. Through the access restrictions I blocked any website that has Minecraft in the title or the URL, which really wouldn't stop people from playing Minecraft, but you could also block Minecraft if that was too much of a deal. And then I decided to try and implement a rough concept of what of screen time is, which is what most people do, most parents do these days, is they give kids a limited amount of hours looking at any kind of screen, and you can't really do that on a Wi-Fi router. Not easily. There might be some weird configuration where you could have done that, because I think IPsec actually does have like a timeout. But there is something relatively similar that you could do, and it, I think, may work even a little bit better. And so what I did is, under the access restrictions, I set up a rule that between like midnight and 6 in the morning, the internet is just going to be completely blocked on that single access point, nothing else, obviously. And then after 9 p.m. to midnight, it would be blocked. So anytime the kids should be asleep, the internet will just be blocked. Then I set up, and this was very repetitive, several conditions, several rules to block the internet on odd hours in between the bedtime gap. So up to 6 a.m. internet's blocked. From 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. the internet's on. From 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. the internet's blocked. From 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. it's on. This creates a scenario where you have to plan out things and manage your time fairly easily. It also creates a scenario where you cannot just become a couch potato and play games for hours and hours and hours. Of course, as someone who has often been a couch potato who played games for hours and hours and hours, it's fairly hypocritical for me to program and set up such a thing, but the next generation should be more diverse and less obsessive about playing video games compared to what I was when I was a kid, because I certainly was obsessive and played way too much video games. I've almost certainly lost here. Unless one of these lets me destroy something. I could have put this in defense mode. Should have put it in defense mode. So yeah, to not make it a long story, I spent several hours on that, around also having insomnia and not really sleeping. So I'm surprised I succeeded at all, let alone completely succeeded. And I'm pretty sleepy now even. Yep. But it is also a thing that DDWRT, as far as custom router firmware, is already pretty complicated, and being able to enable or disable, say, the time restrictions in particular is something that any parent using this software setup would have to do. And so it's a little too complicated for what it should be. Ideally, it would be a much easier just check a checkbox here, there setup, instead of having to delve deep into concepts of network setup as far as using access restrictions or different networks, or setting up a different DHCP server, or going into IP tables and having a custom firewall command. That's all very complicated. But on the other hand, you could say those are the rules and that's how it's set up and it's not changing. And if you want to be generous, you would just hand the phone over, hand over a parent's internet connected device on the regular Wi-Fi network, not instead of the filtered one. That also certainly highlights the problem here is that if there's a cell phone connection, if there's any other Wi-Fi available, if there's a different device that's saved and has the Wi-Fi password for the unfiltered access, if there's anything like that, if the kids start to get smart enough, they will find ways around it. Now, I don't think they'll find ways around it in the sense that they'll be able to hack into the router and change the settings and really know what they're doing, because you'd have to be pretty much a 14, 15-year-old at that point, and at that point the filter is very pointless. So yeah, that's definitely a limitation there. The bigger danger certainly isn't that they would be able to find a way to hack around that. If anything, you should just be proud of your kids if they could hack around what I set up. Although the new secure DNS system might be allowing more DNS signals to go through. I'll have to test that. I know in my default setup I have to make special rules to block almost every other DNS or secure DNS server I knew of. So I might have to make some extra IP table commands to block that. But yeah, the real concern certainly comes down to kids getting desperate and doing the wrong thing in an act of desperation, because they most definitely will be desperate if the internet cuts out in the middle of a game or in the middle of them watching a YouTube video or something, although YouTube's completely blocked. It's way smarter to very much control the introduction of the internet and those kinds of technologies instead of taking away something that they've already gotten access to. Let's see, do I have anything else to say about this? Not really. Other than I think it's probably worth saying that I don't think this game, I don't think any of this programming or setup will be something that I put out in release. It's very complicated, and I just don't, right now, with my insomnia, have the energy to write up instructions or anything like that. In fact, literally all I did was take a bunch of screenshots and send it to a couple of people as a photo gallery, and just like, here I just circled the places I clicked and the settings I changed, and if you care or want any more information, contact me later. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of side projects certainly, and still quite pathetically not getting around to finishing building those Lego shells that I want to build. This is annoying. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to... So we could tribute something. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say as far as what I did. It's mostly suffering from not sleeping and then trying to sleep a little here and there. But yeah, I'm definitely not making a ton of not making a ton of progress as far as making content. And over this weekend, I should make content. I should do a lot of things. But I've just had a lot of distractions and a lot of other things to do in the past week or two. So let's just go through the video game news and then wrap up today because I'm feeling pretty sluggish here. The Cyan store, only because I follow Cyan on Twitter, has these stained glass ribbon inspired posters that you can put on the wall. 11 by 17 poster for $20 is not incredibly expensive. You can also get coasters for $25, 5 for $25, which is pretty expensive, or 4 by 6 prints for $12.50. I don't know why the coasters are so expensive. You can still get printed linking books for fairly cheap. In a lot of ways, though, I have to say that the experience that seems to exist with Cyan these days is not too far away from what the American McGee experience has been up until in the past decade or two, in which Cyan has a promise of a new game, I think it's called Figment, that still seems to be stuck in development. And then they have a lot of nostalgia for Myst and Riven, and they're selling a whole bunch of collectibles around that, and they've seemingly shifted focus from being an actual game developer into being just a merchandiser. The ESA put out this report retweeted a report, the benefits of video games in K through 12 education. I saw another story of benefits of video games for people with like ADD and things like that. That might be the same story, actually. Which at a certain level, yeah, video games do increase engagement and connection to peers. You're gonna definitely be ostracized if you don't play video games. And I could see the more unengaged people, the wallflowers of K through 12, benefiting from playing games and building up friend circles because of that. Problem solving skills, obviously. Networks of playful learning being created. I'm not sure what that really means. Here they have a list of games they're kind of recommending, which Game Builder's Garage kind of makes sense. Kerbal Space Program kind of makes sense. But several of these others are a little iffy. And a lot of these are like Ubisoft games in particular. So alright, let's play this. See if this works. I do have to point out, though, this is a pathetically small number of games to point at and say are educational. Like, and a lot of these, like the Discover tools, are not that educational. Kerbal Space Program, only really educational if you want to be teaching actual rocket science. Minecraft Education Edition, only really educational if you're trying to teach like chemistry. The pretense even of making an educational game has long since been mostly abandoned. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is out, and they're giving out shift codes for that game already of one skeleton key. But in a funny way, it's kind of it's kind of funny that they would give out shift codes for a brand new game, since shift codes were really designed to be more of a advertisement of old games and bring back players who may have lapsed from playing. But on the other hand, it's incredibly nice that they created this shift code system. I'm surprised more people haven't created a similar system. Plenty of games have like codes and redeemed, and they don't have a specific name for the service, but there really isn't anybody out there giving out Battlefield codes or rewards. I think I may very well lose next turn. But yeah. It's kind of weird that there isn't a similar system for like 2K codes amongst all 2K games, or amongst all Microsoft games, although first party Microsoft games are kind of very different, and there aren't that many of them. Moving on to the Video Games Chronicle articles. Microsoft says games don't need to be on Game Pass to be viable on Xbox. we've already talked about a lot of this, I think. So let's go ahead and close these. First impressions of Sonic 2 movie are largely positive. Good for it. Dying Light 2's first story DLC may not continue the events of the main game. Content is currently being developed and occurs sideways in the main events, which almost certainly hints at the main character dying at the end of the story. Also, certainly, I think highlights that there isn't a lot of like there hasn't really been any catch up as far as them being constantly behind as far as making content. So I expect the DLC to be fairly delayed also for Dying Light 2. Moving on, Shinji Mikami wants Tango Gameworks to make smaller and non-horror games. He doesn't want the studio to be associated with a single genre. Really have to question whether this most recent game really is a horror game. It may just be a game that has horrific elements or visuals. PS5 users outside the America can finally auto-upload captures to mobile. Seems like that's fairly delayed. According to Video Games Chronicles, Nintendo and HAL have struggled to make a mainline 3D Kirby game for around 20 years. A new interview reveals the lengthy process behind getting Kirby ready for 3D. I'm not super surprised there. Honestly, I'm not even 100% sure that Kirby is going to be the same game in 3D, or could be the same game. That being said, I only played like the first Kirby game on Game Boy, so I don't know really where Kirby is as far as his skill set, or where he should be as far as his skill set anyways. But yeah, that definitely is something that occurred to me also with Kirby, is that going to kind of more open area games and potentially making a 3D platformer instead of what is more of a beat 'em up game, I would say, is really what it is, with a little bit of platforming. Plus, Nintendo's just been behind the times as far as, I think, the number of staff they really need, and that has caused them to take forever to make a lot of games. Let's see, it looks like Fortnite's no build mode could be added permanently. The new mode has been well received by players. Interesting. I'm a little surprised by that. I kind of would have thought the players would have been more upset by that idea. Let's just go here. Summon here. There goes all monsters on the field. If you could get both of these cards on a character, you could buff up one character and do a lot of damage. Moving on, Video Games Chronicles says next week's free Epic Game Store titles have been revealed. City of Brass is replacing Demon's Tilt. Activision Blizzard is facing a new sexual harassment and discrimination lawsuit. The publisher's legal troubles continue to mount. Which honestly, at this point, I think people probably smell blood in the water, and every possible suit that could have come will come. Let's see. Microsoft says it won't object if Activision recognizes Call of Duty Studios' potential union. Which, of course, they would say that. If they said, no, we're going to do union busting, the acquisition totally wouldn't have been approved. So you can't really believe them. You can't 100% disbelieve them. Let's see. Strangers in Paradise first week of sales in Japan is among the lowest of any Final Fantasy spin-off. The game sold fewer than 50,000 units in its first week. Which, that sounds like quite the flop. A Rocket League-like golf game called Turbo Golf Racing has been announced as coming to Game Pass at launch. Which, honestly, it feels like this is just straight up one of those mobile games that's just trying to create brand confusion. And trick people into buying the wrong game. Let's see. Gran Turismo 7 is putting credit payouts back up again following backlash. All players will receive 1 million free credits and race payouts will be larger. Yeah, it's nice to see some player backlash really affecting some stuff, but I don't know how much it really affects him. The Epic Game Store's spring sale includes discounts up to 75% off, which that may not mean so much depending on what the original prices. Borderlands 3 being 75% off is not particularly the greatest of deals, and seemingly this is the only games that are on sale, although an Easter themed or spring sale, it's not really one I would imagine would be a major sale anyways. A new Gran Turismo 7 update fixes an issue which could reset game progression. Oh, I should probably say I was playing Magikarp Jump for like 2 days. I don't even know if I mentioned it on Wednesday. But yeah, I tried it. I kind of liked it for a day or two, and then I just hit a point where I couldn't play any further. The wait timers got too big. And at that point I looked in to see if there was a hack or mod that would give you like infinite premium currency, and there wasn't one I found that was compatible with the newest versions. But yeah, I really did want to play the game, and over the course of an hour or two it went from I really want to play this game to I now need to find a hack so I can play more of this game, to this is just taking too long and this is just not worth it, to just uninstalling it. Like, yeah, I definitely fell off the hype train very hard and very quickly as far as Magikarp Jump. I wish there was an alternative game like Magikarp Jump that existed, but in a lot of ways it's not too different from any other gacha game. It's just most gacha games aren't having you collect Magikarp. But also the wait timer is an issue. So yeah, I'm pretty much playing everything Pokemon at the days, but I still don't know if I want to play a mainline Pokemon game. Let's see. Xbox has unveiled a new publishing division focused on cloud-native games. Portal and Left 4 Dead developer Kim Swift is leading the new organization. 7 people have been arrested in connection with the Lapsus hacks. The suspected leaders are alleged to have amassed $14 million from cybercrime. Apple has asked courts to reject Epic's appeal in the antitrust case. The Fortnite maker largely lost its case over App Store fees last year. I forgot that they had gotten even that far. Let's see. GTA Online is adding a $6 monthly membership scheme for PS5 and Xbox Series X. They'll offer subscribers a range of exclusive bonuses, if you care. You really shouldn't. Then the PlayStation will reportedly reveal an Xbox Game Pass rival as early as next week. Subscription service will combine PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. Also, it's not expected to have games coming out on day one, day and date, like the other game. Then we've got some games here I think we've already probably talked about, since these are from 4 or 5 days ago. I still haven't programmed or even tried to program the macro to run better. So yeah, we've talked about all of these articles. I think we talked about blue, reflection blue. I think we talked about the Famitsu scores. Yeah, I really am dragging, so I may find myself just needing to call it a day after an hour stream. Let's see. I already talked about that. What's funny is I did update the Switch, but I could not find a way to use folders or make folders. I think you probably have to have more things installed first. Or something, who knows. We already talked about this collab. Let's see. The Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii accepts a Lifetime Achievement Award at the GDC Awards. Which, okay. He's probably pretty old, so taking a Lifetime Achievement Award now makes a lot of sense. Although, I don't think there'd be too many people that would ever reject actually getting a Lifetime Achievement award. Let's see. Focus Entertainment is going to publish a new title by Different Tales. It's a slice of life tale and simulation game hybrid. Famitsu sales have been updated if you want to check those out on Komatsu. Art Machine is going to make a big announcement during the Hyperlight Drifter celebration on March 31st, which just feels almost like an X-Play. Yeah, it's being done on X-Play, so that's why the logo is here. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce a sequel. A game called G Darius HD for PC launches March 31st. MX vs ATV launches May 24th. A game called Mastiff. A company called Mastiff is going to publish a game called Ruins Magus, which is a virtual reality action RPG due out in spring. The art style looks interesting. It's questionable how that really is going to work or play in VR, and I'm not sure that this isn't a different kind of game. They're calling it an action RPG, but we question that. I want to see some proof of that, really. A time-driven escape adventure game, The Time I Have Left, has been announced for PC. Which, okay, looks creepy to say the least. I'm so sleepy right now. I'm gonna leave this video just for me to watch later. Where I talked about this being announced for Xbox and PC. A game called Crime Site launches April 14th. Which again, I'm just gonna leave this open to watch these videos later. A third-person action shooter, Alterborn, has been announced for the PS5 and PC. Looks kind of cool. Kind of looks like a Death Darksiders type game. Although maybe it has too many of the same enemies, same like bug-like enemies all over the place. May end up spending a lot of time fighting off bugs. The game Cursed to Golf launches this summer. Limited time demo now available. Deliver Us Mars has been announced for basically everything. This is another one of these games that looks like it might be very much a competitor to Starlink. A game called Justice Sucks has a debut trailer. The adventure RPG The Outbound Ghost launches for everything in 2022. Forever Sky's extended gameplay trailer and screenshot is now available. Looks like an interesting game, potentially. Let's see. Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song RPG has a trailer. Trailers. Classics inspired platformer The Club has been announced for basically everything. And there might be something here, or there might not. You just don't know. A digital adventure game, Lego Brick Tales, has been announced. Which I'm not sure if this is being made by TD Games. And it definitely feels like this is a Portal concept, where the Portal and the game's Toys to Life concept has been abandoned as far as Lego Dimensions is concerned. Honestly, this looks like real Lego. It's Clockstone Studio. Which, yeah, we are starting to see more Lego games that actually involve a little bit more Lego get made by non-TT developers. Let's see. Soul Hackers 2 has the Arrow trailer if you're interested in that. RPG Maker Unite details full resolution HD support, revamped user interface, and sample characters. Nextune has a 30th anniversary project countdown website, which, okay. And then a Lego Star Wars. I really am just gonna have to end here. Lego Star Wars Saga Darkness Rising trailer. Like, I am so out of it. It's just gonna be one of these days where this A Memorable Blue is one we've been keeping an eye on, so we can put that on the fall list. I'm gonna have to just burn through these games, not really even say anything about them. And we're not gonna talk about the languages supported. We're not gonna talk about the price. I'm just trying to close them as much as possible. This game actually looks good, but it's mostly negative. Let's see. This might be a funny comedy game, might not. Looks like a troll racing game, so we can say no to that. Island Assault doesn't look like anything. Nova Slush doesn't look like anything. And I think that's all I'm gonna play for today too. More than likely, we now have new missions. We need to spectate. We got another daily login. I need to play some solo mode, and I need to play some ranked mode. Overall, I'm doing fairly well, though. Let's see, heliotropism here. Looks like nothing. Here we have a Chinese game that doesn't look special. We have a castle in VR. Which I think we can say no to that. There we go. Kind of interesting looking visual novel. Here we have a coin pusher with anime girl. Ghostwire Tokyo, I think we could go ahead and just put on the wish list since it's already popular. Karen here does not look like a real game. Nickel Farm doesn't look particularly interesting. This is an asset flip bad game, so no. That doesn't look particularly interesting either. Neither is that. Is that. We do have a Moe anime girl visual novel, but I'm not sure I'm seeing anything here indicate that there's any adult content. Veiled nudity and kissing. Apparently, so there's some slight adult content here in this visual novel. The tribe does not look particularly like anything. Path of Destruction looks terrible. Green Alert looks terrible. Moving on to the news. Game developer says, GameDeveloper.com says Inscription won Game of the Year. Doesn't seem like there's an easy list here of everybody who won everything. Actually, there is. So, yeah, scroll through this for a second. I don't think I really have anything to say about that, though. I already talked about the lawsuit. Let's see, we already talked about AMD bringing Fidelity FX to Xbox 2.0s. There's a Game Jam. We'll talk about that later. There's the CEO of Kickstarter is going to step down. Which... okay. Netflix is going to buy Vice Fight Entertainment, acquiring more video game companies. Microsoft says it won't impede Activision Blizzard's efforts to unionize. And Polyphony says it's sorry for tampering with the Gran Turismo's in-game economy. Then we have some photo list cleanup. So let's quickly go through that. Also, the Lost Colony here doesn't look particularly great. Yeah. Alright, so we have an adult game in Pufftown. Okay. What I think we'll do is I'm just gonna have to look at a few things off screen later, but I am just falling asleep completely right now and I need to end this stream and go back to sleep. Sleeping for 5 hours after not sleeping for at least 24 hours has become unhealthy, to say the least. I need to play ranked. and win duels in ranked, and I need to play solo mode. But that's about it. Let me just... Oh, I can't even wrap up here. I've been fading out, in and out already, so let's just end it here. That's gonna be it for the stream. Sorry it's a short one, but we mostly got everything done. We would have looked at a few more games that'll leave for Monday, and a few more games for the fall list cleanup. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.